So I have made a couple of videos like this now where I heavily critique one side of a franchise and heavily praise the other. And while this video will contain a lot of praise for OG Dragon Ball, it will not have any criticism for Dragon Ball Z, because honestly I think these two halves of the story are both amazing and equally good as each other. But with that being said, I've always kind of preferred OG Dragon Ball, which I don't even really like to call it that because it makes it sound like some fucking prehistoric lost media when it's literally just a big part of the story. When I was younger, I didn't even know there was anything called Z or OG. To me, it was just one big story that was 42 volumes long, and it was called Dragon Ball. But even when I was younger, I still prefer the parts where Goku was a kid. And one of the main reasons for that, I think, is just Goku himself. Kid Goku is just the most fun character to follow. It's so satisfying to see him just get stronger and stronger and stronger. He starts off as an ignorant kid who knows nothing of the world, and we slowly see him become more and more civilized and learn new things. I just love the way he enters every situation with the same amount of happiness and naivety every time. Also, Kid Goku is freaking adorable. Toriyama really did his absolute best in every panel, especially early on, to make Goku as cute as possible. I also love how much effort was put into making Goku and Krillin feel like children, because usually kids in anime can be pretty fucking wild. Like, my favorite example is in Death Note, when Nier, this 13-year-old child, is chilling in his room when all of a sudden his officers just take their guns and shoot themselves in the head, and he doesn't even react. Like, this dude is stone fucking cold, bro. He doesn't give a shit. Not that I don't like the scene, but I don't know. I guess it's just kind of nice to see a story where kids act like normal kids. He has to stand on his toes to give a handshake or reach the Nimbus. He has to stand to see out of the window of a plane, and I love how well this ties into his fight against Jackie Chun in the World Tournament. Losing not due to lack of strength, but lack of height. He lost because of his age. For something like this, which has been emphasized subtly on the panels time and time again to pay off in the way it does, is absolutely genius. My favorite moment in all of Dragon Ball happens to emphasize this fact as well, that being when he reunites with his grandpa. Goku is a kid, sure, but he's also the toughest kid you've ever met. He will beat up every and any bad guy out there. We have literally never seen him lose to one. And so our image of Goku at this point is kind of like Superman. I mean, just before this we were told that Goku has no evil in his heart and is completely pure. But again, he is still a kid, and just like any kid would, he cries and jumps for joy when he sees his grandpa. Something that is completely normal to do is somehow almost a surprise. Even the other characters watching are kind of taken aback by Goku's reaction because they're not really used to seeing him act this way. This is like the first time we ever see him cry, and it's perfect. What I also love is that he has his tail. I feel like the tail just takes his character design from a 9 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. It really represents his personality well, and I wholeheartedly wish that he would have just kept his tail in C. Like, I get Vegeta not keeping his tail because that kind of symbolizes his character development, but I feel like the tail is just something Goku would want to keep considering how obsessed he is with getting stronger. But anyway, as much as Goku is awesome, the side characters also get huge chances to shine. C obviously also has top tier side characters as well, but what I love here is that the whole cast gets to contribute and do something in some way. Like, I love Vegeta, Gohan, and Trunks, but the more focus those characters got, the more characters like Krillin and Yamcha just kind of faded into the background. And I have no problem with a story choosing to abandon certain characters for new ones, as long as those new characters are as good or better. But if those old characters are a huge part of the story one second and then just not a part of it at all the next, it can feel a little bit jarring. And I'm not gonna pretend like that's a huge issue in C, especially with the way Krillin and Piccolo both managed to somehow stick around despite their strength becoming less and less impressive, but it can be a bit jarring with like Tien and Chaozu, for example. The only characters this really happens to on this part of Dragon Ball is like Oolong and Puar, but everyone else we get to see the journey and progression of, and it's awesome. Ten Shinhan is a fucking amazing character, and seeing him slowly turn into a good guy is really compelling. And this pays off massively in the arcs after this, where he is reliable and a great asset to Goku and the others. Master Roshi is one of my favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball. He is one of the best mentor characters I have ever seen in anime and manga. He instills in Goku and Krillin all of his teachings perfectly without fail, and they adhere to them for the the rest of the story. I also love how flawed he is. He's strong and wise, but also old, and not afraid to call it quits when it gets rough. It makes him feel so much more human and like a real person. And Krillin is just the best friend you could ask for. I always wish Krillin never fell so far behind and that he could have stayed as Goku's equal, because he plays that role so well. We see him grow more and more confidence in himself and truly cement himself as a real martial artist. And again, all of these characters stay a part of the story, whether it's through the martial arts tournament or helping Goku on his journey. All the characters are there for a reason and add to the story in a meaningful way. And what I love is how good it is at setting up characters or elements that will have an effect on the story later on.
Like every character and item that get introduced gets paid off later.
They find this turtle that needs water, so Goku chooses to help him. Because they help him, they meet this master who gives him a Dragon Ball. And later, when they're in trouble, they get his help to extinguish the fire. Because they see how strong he is, Goku asks to get trained by him and becomes his disciple.
Goku also immediately learns the Kamehameha from him,
which he ends up using later to make a hole for Oolong and Puar so that they can fly out and make a wish on the Dragon Balls. We meet Yamcha, who wants to use the Dragon Balls to wish away his fear of women, so he pretends to be the gang's friend, and as he helps them out, him and Bulma fall in love, eliminating his fear of women, which is perfect for Bulma, who wanted the Dragon Balls to wish for a boyfriend. The first page alone sets up Goku's tale, which is later in the arc revealed to turn him into a giant monkey that killed his grandpa. The Power Pole, which is later revealed to connect between Korin's Tower and Kami's Lookout. Everything is connected, everything happens for a reason. One thing you notice quickly while reading the first volume is that the pacing is lightning fast. No time is wasted, and every drawing and speech bubble are there to progress the story. You'll find yourself flipping through pages so quickly that a volume goes by in like 2 seconds. And what I love about the manga is just how good the art is. Like, goddamn, man. I really think this part of the story offers more than others when it comes to the art. There are so many crisp ass panels that genuinely look so damn good. I just love how it's so detailed but also simplistic at the same time. It also has more variety in its art because of how many different places we get to go to and how wacky the character designs can be. We have Goku fighting this mummy dude on the top of some like devil tongue statues above poisonous acid, a secret underground pirate base filled with traps and ships. Like, I really like how much different crazy shit you can find in this world while still feeling like it belongs in the world of Dragon Ball. The Red Ribbon's vehicles and bases all look dope as well. Toriyama was obviously goated when it came to the vehicle designs, and here is no different. The majority of the chapter title pages are just Toriyama making fun little drawings of Goku and the gang in some sick car or plane. I especially love this one. It works really well for world building, and it ended up being something I actually looked forward to while reading. Something that has really baffled me for a while though is that people have not seen or read this part of the story, which doesn't just baffle me because it's genuinely really good, but mostly because, again, it's the start of the story, almost half of it. Imagine starting One Piece after the time skip. That would be fucking insane. Or starting Naruto at Shippuden. Like, you would have to be an absolute psychopath to do something like that. I get that it didn't air on TV for a lot of people growing up, but for the people who continued to watch it as they grew older, why would you not just check it out? Because if you rewatch C as an adult without having seen OG, I feel like a lot of things just wouldn't make much sense and the whole story would probably feel not as good. Just in general, I feel like you'd be confused about like who every character is. Like, why the hell is Master Roshi even in the story? He serves no purpose, not even words of wisdom. Who is Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin? What the fuck is a Chaozu? Who is Yajirobe? That would probably be the most puzzling one. Why is there a cat in this tower? What is this?
Hi.
Like, a huge moment early on is Piccolo's sacrifice, and the whole part that makes that so satisfying is seeing him go from evil to good. But if you haven't experienced the original Dragon Ball, Piccolo would just be like some dude. Like, sure, he claims he's evil and wants world domination and everything, but I don't know, he seems like a pretty chill dude to me. He's kind of grumpy, I guess, but that's it. You didn't get to see this dude and his dad be on absolute demon timing. Like, these guys had no chill, making his sacrifice hit way harder. Or when Goku found out he was the giant monkey that killed his grandpa. Like, surely the people watching this for the first time would be like, what? He killed his grandpa? Huh? This is like a huge moment in the story that wouldn't land at all. I also feel like the Dragon Balls themselves would be really lame. Like, the first time you see them get used in the story is when they revive Goku to fight against Vegeta and Nappa. It's not a big or special moment. They're just like, ah shit, we need to bring Goku back. And then they do it. that's it. Then Piccolo dies and they just disappear. So they have to go to a whole different planet to find a different type of Dragon Balls. They don't even use them in the whole Cell Saga until the very end. Like, I feel like the Dragon Balls wouldn't even feel special. They'd just be like a plot device that conveniently saves them, a little disconnected from the story. Kid Goku had to go through so many trials and tribulations to gather them originally, but the stronger he got, the easier it was to collect them. So when they collected them with ease later on in C, it felt rewarding and earned. I get that this stuff didn't matter as a kid, but like, surely you'd need to go back and experience the whole story now, right? But for some reason, people think this part is just a silly little story for small children. And you know, it does have a lot of jokes and funny moments, yes, but what if I told you that the jokes are really funny? I don't know about you guys, but generally humor in anime and manga is not for me. I don't mind them, and some anime and manga actually have very consistently funny jokes, but most of them I rarely ever laugh at, which is mainly because I guess shonen writers are really good at writing action and characters, but not so much humor. But as you probably know, Dragon Ball started off as a gag manga. It was intended to be a comedy from the beginning, so if a writer sets out on making a gag manga, that writer probably knows a thing or two about telling a good joke. And again, Toriyama certainly did when making Dragon Ball. The jokes are so lighthearted and layered, and they're also just really dumb. But like, so dumb that they're actually funny. I think one of my favorite ones is one that happens during the Red Ribbon Saga. When General Blue is following Goku, Krillin, and Bulma through the pirate base, he starts to realize more and more how strong they really are. Throughout the show thus far, everyone's initial impression of Goku and Krillin has always been that they're weak and they're underestimated. But after hearing how easily Goku dealt with some of the other Red Ribbon commanders, General Blue realizes that Goku is actually insanely strong. But he kind of ends up overestimating them, because Master Roshi in launch takes out a bunch of soldiers that ambush them at Kame Island, and upon hearing this, General Blue is like, alright guys, don't underestimate them. An old man and a woman just took out our entire team, and they didn't even have to unleash the turtle, as to suggest that the turtle is just an absolute beast that could just take out anyone. Now, while there are a lot of funny moments, the story also gets really dark. So, I mean, if you can only consume stories where people get like brutally murdered with no time for laughter whatsoever, then I'm sure you'll find something here at least. The King Piccolo arc is like the darkest it gets. This shit gets downright sad. Everyone just fucking dies, dude. The first glimpse we see of this darkness is with Tao Pai Pai, my favorite villain in Dragon Ball. No man has ever been this gangster, dude. This guy chops down a pillar, throws it in the air, and then jumps on it and surfs to his destination. This was the first enemy Goku ever lost to, making him extremely intimidating, but also made his downfall equally satisfying. Ten Shinhan and the other two Piccolos are also top tier antagonists. Like, you really are missing out if you think this part is just vastly different from C. It's not dark all the time, but I think that's what's great about it. It's not just the same all the time. It has a little bit for everyone, and I think I prefer Dragon Ball being varied like that, not stuck in the same lane constantly. I haven't checked out Dragon Ball Daima yet because I'm waiting for the English dub to come out, but honestly I really can't wait because it sounds exactly like what I'm looking for from Dragon Ball. Although I still have certain standards and expectations when it comes to this franchise, so make sure to check out this video to hear what those are.